Please never forget when you're looking at this situation with the pandemic, we made ourselves sick. Let me show you just how badly toxic politics has poisoned our fight. We started vaccinations in December 2020, remember? We've just now hit 49.7% fully vaccinated. Other countries have begged us to send our surplus doses. One of them is Canada. Now, 3 months ago, only 3% of Canadians were vaccinated. But once they got their hands on those doses, they lined up for the shot. Now, they have more fully vaccinated than we do. They're nearly 60%. What's the difference? Division. The division is making us sick. And that divide is not getting better. The vaccinated are being held hostage by the unvaccinated. And that's going to make trouble. Let's bring in the Wizard of Oz. The blame game. What do we know about it?
Here's what we know about it. The vaccinated are starting to get pretty perturbed. Look at this. Who do the vaccinated blame for the rising COVID-19 cases? Number one, 79% say the unvaccinated. 36% say Donald Trump. I think there's a little partisanship going on there, and that's especially true when you see the 33% say conservative media. But basically what you're seeing is that the vaccinated are starting to get very perturbed with the unvaccinated, and some of the conservative media, who, to be honest, have been spreading misinformation about the vaccine and not telling folks the truth, that is, the vaccine is safe and can help save your life and your neighbor's life.
Now, remember, though, in the vaccinated group, you have Republicans, Democrats, Independents, right, left, north, south, right? Because the majority of almost every demographic has taken the step to get protected. Yes, you do have an overweighting of white Republicans who are resistant, but there are a lot of people in the vaccinated group that represent a lot of different stripes. So who do the unvaccinated blame?
Everyone but themselves. Look, here's who they blame. They basically blame who, we would expect that folks who might, a group that might be more conservative blame. Foreign travelers in the United States, they blame them, 37%. The mainstream media, perhaps like you and I, 27%. Americans traveling internationally, 23%. So they're blaming travel, they're blaming foreigners, they're blaming people who they shouldn't be blaming because those folks are simply put not to be blamed. They should honestly be blaming themselves because it's the unvaccinated who overwhelmingly are spreading this virus around. It's simply what the science tells us, Chris.
Another reason I'd be a lousy politician. I think that mandates are a bad idea. I've rarely seen them work, especially in a situation like this where you couldn't even really enforce it. But the vaccinated need to be respected by power because they're the majority of the country, and they do want mandates for the unvaccinated. How so?
Yeah, I mean, look, again, the vaccinated are sick and tired of the unvaccinated not being vaccinated. So vaccinated adults say that the unvaccinated should get vaxxed in order to go to college. The vast majority, 77%, go to kindergarten through 12th school, 70%, or go to work, 68%. So this is a story that we're seeing across the board. The vaccinated are starting to blame the unvaccinated, and they want them to get vaccinated because they believe that if the unvaccinated do in fact decide to get a vaccine, then this pandemic would at least recede a great bit. And to be honest with you, I don't necessarily blame them because, again, it's what the science tells us to be true.
Right, but doesn't mean that the mandate is the best way to approve it. I get the feeling. But I'll tell you who's going to like that slide. President Biden, because it kind of gives him a pass. Go to college, that's up to colleges, not the federal government. K to 12, that's going to be localities. Go to work, that's going to be employers. The federal government is one, but federal employers. All right, so now the question of the day. Does it work? Social pressure, mandates.
Maybe, but there is the chance that there could be a backlash. So this is a poll from a couple of months ago, and it basically said, do the unvaccinated feel unfairly pressured to get vaccinated? And look at this. A lot of them do, 41%. Now, the majority don't feel that way, but 41% is an awfully large percentage. And it gives you the idea that although you may get some of the unvaccinated vaccinated through these mandates, there's going to be a good portion of them who say, you know what, wait a minute, I don't like this at all. Now I'm even going to go deeper into my corner, and there's no way in heck I'm going to get vaccinated. So I think that we need to be careful in our messaging and how we put this across if, in fact, we do want to have vaccine mandates. Otherwise, it could have the exact opposite effect that is actually intended.
Yeah, I look, it's an old number. It would be interesting to see what it is now. There'd be two variables. One, you have the Delta variant, so people have a better reason than just feeling pressure to get vaccinated, and we see them getting vaccinated. So you would have a smaller pool of unvaccinated, which makes them more resistant if they are someone, resistant to getting the vaccine. if they're going to stay unvaccinated, even with this variant out there. So that may skew the numbers as well, but I'd like to see a new number. Harry Enton, the Wizard of Odds, thank you as always.
My pleasure. All I'll say in the end is that there still is 15% who say they definitely won't get vaccinated, but that number has shrunk from 20%, so a little bit of good news.
And remember, we were building in the 20% early on in terms of how we could still get to herd immunity, so that number's not the problem, per se. All right, Florida's governor is downplaying the